All right, so let's talk a little bit about the warm up and why I asked you to watch that. So, the Wheel of Freestyle is one of the bits that Jimmy Fallon does on his show. It's one of the kind of ongoing segments that he does every once in a while. And it's featuring Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton and Tariq Trotter, who is Black Thought from The Roots and also the house band. Um, okay, so you might have thought it was incredibly difficult to use Dinosaur Pumpkin Pie and Darth Vader in a rap. And I would agree with you. But I also think that having those words as a place to start off with gave him something to think about as a little bit before he started and then as he was rapping, right? If I told you, I want you to write a poem or a short story about anything you want and gave you no words or no picture or no topic to think about, you might find it really difficult. Versus if I gave you a few words like they do here, that might be a little bit easier for you to start generating some of your own thinking or some of your own writing. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go through an exercise that is kind of like the Wheel of Freestyle, where you're going to get some words to work with in order to start some pre-writing for a poem. The difference is I'm not going to give you random words like this. You're going to get to pick some words from something that we read together. So let me kind of show you how it works. All right. So I'm going to read you this poem, The Sacred by Stephen Dunn. And this first time that you listen to it, I just want you, or the first time I read it, I just want you to listen to it. Just listen to the words, kind of the rhythm of the poem, and just kind of take it in that first time. It's okay if you don't understand what the poem means. We're not doing this to analyze the poem necessarily. We're just trying to look for some words that strike our ear nicely and we might want to use. All right, The Sacred by Stephen Dunn. After the teacher asked if anyone had a sacred place, and the students fidgeted and shrunk in their cars, the most serious of them all said it was his car. Being in it alone, his tape deck playing, things he'd chosen, and others knew the truth had been spoken, and began speaking about their rooms, their hiding places, but the car kept coming up. The car in motion, music filling it, and sometimes one other person who understood the bright altar of the dashboard and how far away a car could take him from the need to speak or to answer, the key in having a key and putting it in and going. Okay, so that's the poem, The Sacred by Stephen Dunn that we're going to be working with. Okay, so on this lesson, what I want you to do is kind of have an open space, or if you have paper, draw a circle in the middle, and then we're going to write some words from the poem around that circle that stand out to you. Now, you could be doing this in a Google Doc. You could be doing this on scratch paper or on your phone or on Google Slides, however it's going to work for you. But you want to have some words to work for and then some space in the middle later. Okay, I'm going to read the poem again. I'm going to try to read it a little slower. They might lose some of the rhythm, but now we're just looking for words from the poem that we really like. The Sacred by Stephen Dunn. After the teacher asked if anyone had a sacred place, and the students fidgeted and shrunk in their chairs, the most serious of them all said it was his car. Being in it alone, his tape deck playing, things he'd chosen, and others knew the truth had been spoken, and began speaking about their rooms, their hiding places, but the car kept coming up, the car in motion, music filling it, and sometimes one other person who understood the bright altar of the dashboard and how far away a car could take him from the need to speak or to answer, the key in having a key and putting it in and going. So I'm going to give you just a little bit more time to write down some of those words. And if any other words kind of popped in your mind by association, just by hearing those words, please feel free to write those down too. Okay, now I'm going to give you some time to look at the words you chose that are kind of random, the words from the poem, and think about what main idea they might have in common. It could have something to do with the poem, or it could be something brand new that you're kind of coming up with in your mind based on the words that you came up with and everything else that's kind of going on inside of you. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to kind of look for some connections that might be made naturally between the words around and then what they might have in common. Like I said, it could have something to do with the poem, or it could be a brand new topic entirely that kind of just hits you. So go ahead and pause the video now and give yourself about 2 minutes to kind of come up with the main idea. Obviously, if you need more time, that's fine. You can take more time. But maybe 2 minutes sounds about the right amount of time. And if you need less time, that's okay too. So go ahead and pause the video now and give yourself some time to find that main idea. Okay, the next step is give yourself about 5 minutes to start using those words to draft a poem. And start thinking about some of the elements of poetry we discussed. Who is your speaker? What's the occasion? What will there be a shift? Maybe not. How are the words going to look on the page? And maybe also imagery, figurative language, stanzas, things like that. Just things that you've noticed about poetry in our unit so far. So take about 5 minutes to start drafting something out. Please feel free to add any of the other words you need to add. You don't have to use all the words that you wrote down in your pre-writing. If you want to change topics, you absolutely may. This is just an exercise to see what comes out naturally as we work with the words that we put on the page. So go ahead and take 5 minutes. If this seemed like you still need a little bit more help in terms of an example, go ahead and click on the next video and you'll see my teacher model as well. But for those of you that are ready to rock and roll, go ahead and just start writing and see where this takes you. Remember, this is just a draft. This is just some fun writing. No pressure to come up with the perfect poem right now. Okay, definitely no pressure to end up doing something as complete as the rap battle we just saw with Tariq Trotter and Lin-Manuel Miranda.